Good morning and welcome to Kid News. I'm Tori. It's Tuesday, July 14th, 2020. And we begin with history being made in the military. After nearly 110 years of naval aviation, a U.S. Naval Academy graduate is poised to become the first Black female fighter pilot. Lieutenant junior grade Madeline Swagel completed her training program last week and is currently assigned to an air station in Texas. The head of air training congratulated her on Twitter with a hoorah and wished her BZ, which means Bravo Zulu, and is Navy speak for well done. Madeline will receive her Wings of Gold later this month, but she's already received a lot of high-flying praise from public figures like Senator Elizabeth Warren and tennis legend Billie Jean King. The Navy has long been criticized for a lack of diversity in its aviation programs, and just 2 weeks ago created a special task force to address this issue. Good news for grizzly bears. A court has just restored their status as an endangered species, which conservationists, or people who work to protect wildlife, see as a tremendous victory. The ruling spares the grizzlies from previous plans for controlled hunts in Wyoming and Idaho on land that is within the greater Yellowstone area. These bears were first placed on the endangered species list last century when only 136 remained in North America out of the 50,000 that once roamed the forests. Ranchers claim that bear numbers are now at capacity, but the court agreed with scientists who say the grizzly population still needs protection because they are not out of the woods yet. Fans of lacrosse finally have something to look forward to. The professional league that just started last year has announced it will have a 2020 season, but it will be limited to a 2-week tournament starting a week from Saturday. The Premier Lacrosse League is using a shortened format similar to the bubble approach other leagues like the NBA hope to utilize. The Lacrosse League has 7 clubs that will compete at the Zion Bank Stadium in Salt Lake City without any fans allowed in the stands. The games will be televised starting July 25th, and the opener features a rematch of last season's finale with the defending champion Whipsnakes taking on the Redwoods. The Museum of Ice Cream is apparently having a bit of a meltdown, and not just because of the pandemic. The concept was launched in 2016 by a 24-year-old named Mary Ellis Bunn. It was not so much a museum, but more of a made-for-Instagram playground meets art installation, where kids and adults could take selfies on unicorn statues, in a rainbow tunnel, and swim in a pool filled with nearly 100 million plastic sprinkles. Many were willing to pay the $39 entry fee after seeing posts by stars like Katy Perry, Beyoncé, and Kevin Hart inside. There were several pop-up locations and, for a time, permanent sites in New York and San Francisco, which have since closed. But according to a new article in Forbes magazine, a lot of employees have complained of mistreatment by the founder, so the museum's future now seems to be on thin ice. Even royalty could use some help finding productive ways to keep busy during the pandemic. That's why a 7-year-old British boy decided to send a custom-made word puzzle to Her Royal Highness Queen Elizabeth, who has been in isolation with her husband Prince Philip at Windsor Castle since the onset of the coronavirus in mid-March. Timothy Matters decided to include phrases centered around the theme of happiness, like smile, hug, and friends. His mother explained he wanted to do something to cheer the Queen up, and he did it in his neatest handwriting. And apparently, it worked. One of the Queen's ladies-in-waiting sent a reply saying, "The Queen wishes to write and thank you for your kind letter and for the puzzle you have created, especially for Her Majesty." That's it for Kid News. A big thank you for all the much-needed donations made recently to keep Kid News up and running. If you'd like to make a tax-deductible donation, please go to our website, www.kidnews.org. Now, the Kid News quiz. What history is being made in the U.S. Navy? It's poised to welcome its first Black female fighter pilot. Which animal gets to stay on the endangered species list? The grizzly bear. Which museum is having a bit of a meltdown? The Museum of Ice Cream. What did a 7-year-old do to cheer up Queen Elizabeth while she's in isolation? He made her a word puzzle using the theme of happiness. In One for the Road, a sealed, mint-condition copy of Super Mario Bros. From the mid-1980s just set a new record at auction. It sold for $114,000 to an anonymous bidder, the most money ever paid for a video game. In this case, the attraction seems to be as much the outside as the inside. The unopened game was packaged in a box with a cardboard hang tab underneath the shrink wrap, which made the hang tab useless. Only a few were produced before Nintendo realized the mistake and changed the design. Most of those that made it onto stores likely were opened and played. This one never was. Before we go, our KidNuz birthday shout-outs go to Sloan in Birmingham, Michigan; in Washington, Lauren in Wenatchee and Haley in Redmond; in California, Jordan in Simi Valley and Maria in Eastvale; Max and Maisie in Baltimore, Maryland; and Haley in Washington, D.C. Thanks for listening, and we hope you tune in for more KidNuz tomorrow morning.